Before we start, a couple of disclaimers. First of all, just because I hate it doesn't mean you can't love it. Second, only successful games get the hate. Okay, disclaimers done, let's do this. Just one more thing. What I'm not going to complain about, even though I could, or I guess I am now, is the ugly graphics, the mediocre components, and the fact that because of the milestones and the awards being always the same, the replayability in the base game is not amazing. First thing first, pacing. This is my biggest problem with the game. I am a person who has a short attention span. I don't like games with a lot of downtime, and we as board gamers usually tend to give a pass on games that have some problems. If you are playing a boring video game, you are probably just going to put it down. When you are playing a board game, you are not going to do that. The main reason for that is that games are full of social interaction. There is a lot of talking that you can do in the meantime. There is a taboo about hating popular games, and you might even wonder sometimes if you are not the problem instead of the game. But where was I? Oh yeah, pacing. You will see an example of how the pacing should be during the game. Notice how it is increasing the more we play, and it's quite high in the end. Of course, this is just an example, but let's compare it to how I feel whenever I play Terraforming Mars. You can notice that it's quickly dropping off from the initial high start, and it never bounces back, not even until the end of the game. The reason for that is that at the start you get all the cards, you get all the combos, you think what you can do with your hand, and then the game becomes quite boring, place the cubes on the map and get points. What I'm trying to say here is that there is a bad ratio of choosing your strategy versus executing your strategy compared to the length of the game. And the crazy thing is, the publisher agrees with me. But we are going to say, what? How can the publisher agree? He published the game. There is no way, but the truth is, that's why there are so many corporate variants, non-corporate variants, drafting and stuff like that. And they even made an expansion, Prelude, just to solve some of the problems in the base game. The big question is, why is the pacing so bad? Terraforming Mars is an engine builder game. That's why you have all these cool cards that you can build engine from. The problem is that you get a lot of them at the start, but they don't let you draw cards. I mean, of course, they do, but it's usually at a high price, and most of the cards that will matter to your engine you will see at the beginning of the game. Another typical feature of engine builders is that it is a race to who can snowball faster. That's why letting players draw a lot of the cards, like in the games that you see on the screen, is so important. It contributes to the fun of the game, because the more cards you draw, the cooler the combos are. It also helps to reduce the randomness, and the initial setup doesn't have that much of an impact on the whole game. Another problem for me is that everything is one big pile of cards. There is no separation for the ages, generation or eras. Imagine playing 7 Wonders if all the cards were just shuffled in one deck together. It doesn't sound like a great idea, does it? To make matters worse, a lot of the cards have restrictions. And while it makes sense from a thematic standpoint, it hurts gameplay. It further limits your options, and sometimes you will be unable to play the card for the whole game. Speaking of cards, what's with so much take that in a game of this caliber? I'm just going to show you 2 cards that has a lot of take that. In engine building, destroying effects have usually very negative impact on a lot of players because it doesn't feel fun to be attacked and it doesn't feel fun to attack. For me, it also makes Terraforming Mars only playable at 2 players. Because when there is just the 2 of you, there is no ganging up. And speaking about the player count, I also don't like that the game always ends on the same conditions, no matter the player count. This will be the third and final. Terraforming Mars for me is the engine builder without payoff. And what I mean by that is by the end of the game, we are not doing any different things that we are doing at the start. Our combos are not much bigger, our engine is more refined, but it's still doing the same things. Planting trees, planting cities, and stuff like that. I've put a lot of effort into this video, so please let me know in the comments what you liked and what you didn't. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And one last thing that I want to talk about is the real reason why I hate Terraforming Mars. It's because my group loves it and I don't. And I guess that's the reason why most people hate certain games. But you might be like my group and love it. Let me know.